So I introduce to you today Parveen Dusanj-Bedi.
Hello.
Hi Parveen, thank you so much for joining us on The Inner Shift.
My pleasure.
Now, I'm going to jump right in here.
Yes.
You've lived across cultures. You've lived in the UK, you've lived in India, the public eye, private inner world. When do you think your early identity of who Parveen is came about before the world knew her? What is that Parveen? Who is that Parveen?
Oh gosh, all the phases of who is Parveen. Okay. School, I think, led to a big identity. Growing up in a immigrant Sikh family in the 1970s of the UK, right, in the times of the Thatcher era. Weirdly enough, I actually think Margaret Thatcher had a bit of an influence on me. Strangely enough, at school, when we were kids, maybe about 5, 6, we used to have little milk bottles at school. And one day we turn up at school like we normally would, and every child in this class is crying. And I remember walking in thinking everyone's crying. As a child, you also start crying. And then, where is our milk bottle? There used to be little mini milk bottles. And the teacher said to me, oh, well, Margaret Thatcher has decided that you're not going to have milk anymore, kids. It's the government. And I remember then the teacher saying, Margaret Thatcher, milk snatcher.
Oh
right? That was a slogan. And that was a slogan of the time, Margaret Thatcher, milk snatcher. And I went home and I said to Mum, who is Margaret Thatcher? And that was my very first sort of information about what politics is, who this lady was, and the power she had to make sure that we didn't have milk again. And I actually went on to study politics and economics at university, right? So it's always been a thing about social economics, politics, and I think that it has been a theme in my life. But yeah, Margaret Thatcher, milk snatcher, that was at school. That was at school. So that's definitely been a core theme. And just knowing that there was this woman who's so powerful, right, who could do those things. So yeah, that was the 70s growing up in England. And then I think when my grandparents came to live with us, Punjabi, right? And they were farmers, they were landowners. And I mean, my grandparents from my Nanaji and Nanaji came to live with us. And we must have been about 11 then, and they lived with us for a good few years. And that's when my Punjabi became better. If we wanted to talk to them, it was proper Punjabi, right?
The Pendu Punjabi?
It was proper Tet Punjabi, right? And that's where we learned everything. My grandfather I'd have school projects about agricultural farming, and he'll tell us, you know, we are farmers. And he'd teach me crop rotation, which is exactly what we were doing taught in school. He would teach me about the values of seeds. He said, you know, modern day farming is such that you go to the universities now and they give you these, which is now what I know, right? That when we were younger, but he was teaching me about GMO versus organic, right? So he was saying that when we farm, we have a seed that's going to feed you for life. Right? That one seed you crop again and again and again. Whereas he said now, the seeds that you get from the university, they feed you for one time, they're bigger than they're supposed to be, and that's it, it's over, and you have to go and buy it again. And I remember that forming a lot of my thoughts. And I've always bought organic food. I've always been very conscious about where our food comes from. I remember those stories of my grandfather really early on. And then eventually in my adult life, when I did go back to Punjab and I went to the farm, I remember seeing it all with my own eyes, right? How we changed from cotton farmers to the Green Revolution. I went with him to the university in Ludhiana to see all these different forms of crops. And he used to keep seeds. He used to keep the old seeds in little medicine bottles. He would keep them. It's almost like he was starting a seed bank. Before it was a thing, right? Before we have the big one in Norway. But he had his own little private seed bank. Imagine. So yeah, these are some of the things that that come towards forming identity. Yeah, they were definitely there. And I remember my Nanaji always used to say, like, do whatever you have to do in life, but do it with a big heart. I remember once I was upset about something, right? And again, we were in Punjab, I was upset about something and teary. And he just looked at me. He said, do you have a sparrow's heart? I was like, what? Do you have a sparrow's heart? I said, no, I don't. He said, exactly, you have a lion's heart. Come on, you have a lion's heart. You're not that. So those little things matter along the way, don't they?
That is beautiful. I mean, I think I'm going to use that one. Do you have a sparrow's heart? You have a lion's heart. That's a beautiful framing of words. And I think these memories are what I feel would have also shaped your emotional vocabulary and how you are as a person today. Because I know you to be someone who's very caring, very genuine. In today's world, that's very rare. Do you think all these people, growing up with all these stories, with these people, that's where you got your emotional vocabulary from?
I definitely think my grandfather had a huge influence, for sure, right? Generous by nature.
Along with Margaret Thatcher.
Oh, yeah. So can you see the differences, right? Strong people. Again, like my Nanaji was strong, right? And there was rules were rules, and you were disciplined, and you do what you had to do in life, do it right, do it ethically. My Naniji was softer. She was the one that fed most of the village. If she's never going to put on one cup of tea, she was going to make tea for 10 people, right? And everyone ever going past the house is going to pop in for a cup of tea. That's how we grew up, right? You not make a dish for 4 people, you made it for 10. It's like, who's going to come? People are going to come. And they generally did, right? They always did. So that was that lovely, that's how those two were. And then with my mum, I mean, she was just compassion to another level. She had 6 of us, right? 6 kids, so I'm the eldest of 6. And that in itself is an archetype, Paayal. I think the eldest daughter of immigrant South Asian family growing up in England is an archetype that hasn't been studied fully. I really do think it's a whole different kind of character altogether. But getting back to the point, you said what brought in that emotional intelligence. Definitely my mum, learning compassion from her. She had 6 kids, and she brought us up all on her own, right? So just knowing that she did that and sacrificed so much. And at the end of it, when we all grew up and we were doing our things in university, and we all did well, touch wood.
Touch wood.
She then went on to become a foster mum. You think she'd have enough after 6? No.
Oh, wow.
She
That's
went on.
amazing. That is amazing.
She went on to become a foster mum. So there's more kids were coming into the home. And it was just about providing a loving, caring home for someone else to have a good start in life. And she's always said that, kindness, just choose kindness over everything. And I think I saw it in practice. It wasn't just said, right? I saw it in practice. And then, of course, we brought up as Sikhs, a very Sikh family, so we do seva regularly. It was always there. It was something we did. So it's kind of inbuilt. And I think rather than someone telling you something, you learn a lot by what you see.
Yes.
And my mum's lived that, right? She's lived a very, very good life. Yeah.
Oh. Beautiful, beautiful.
Okay.
And yeah, I completely agree. Children learn way more by observation than they do by what they are taught to do, because it's just direct, you know. And I mean, I've seen you. You were recently on a holiday with your family, and I saw what a good-looking family. Oh my God, what a good-looking family. God bless.
It's a great gene lottery, isn't it?
Very much so. Very much so. And I saw that with these family values that you talk about, and I think you have a very strong sense of community as well, possibly because of how your grandparents were and how their sense of community was. Do you think it's possible to take that forward in today's world, in today's society where we live?
Oh, you have to. If you don't, who will? Right? You have to. I think you start with yourself, you start with your circle, you start with your family. I'll start with you, right? It's you build your tribe. Otherwise, what is it? It's not all business chasing the next big, I got to get a house, got to get a car, I got to get that. No, it has to come side by side. I just can't imagine living life without having that community, without having that wealth of depth of emotional support, and just having that around me. I think that's actually the beauty of life. No, for me, it's a very important part. It's really important. And I've seen communities shift. So I'm talking even beyond traditional communities, right? So my mum, this is her story to tell really, but when she separated from my father, and they were a very big, prominent family, but I saw how the traditional community shifted, right? And my mum's a beautiful woman, but she was young. She had 6 children, thank you. She was young and she had 6 children. And it wasn't done, right? You did not separate in the 1980s, late 1980s. So what do you do with that? So traditional society doesn't know what to do. So usually pushed aside, or you may be ostracized, or your invitations to go to places are going to be drastically cut down. And I've seen that pivot. And I think then you realize what is community, right? It brings it back really close to home. I know when you said like our family's very close, I think we all know that we have one another, because at the end of the day, when everything else goes away, we had each other. We were a pack, and we were very, very close. And then we've built our own community along the way of people that are like-minded, of our tribe, of really loving, good people around you. So I think when you know that the traditional society can pivot, and can be judgmental and all the rest, which is what it's meant to do. It does, whether we like it or not, it is what it does, right? When you know you can survive beyond that and you can create stuff and then you flourish, because the expectation was you're not going to flourish, you can't flourish, but then you go on and flourish and you do more and you thrive, that's really wonderful, because you're free then, aren't you? Right?
Do you think there was a particular defining moment where you felt a shift inside? Because from your story, from what I can hear, you've had several defining moments, several changes. So is there one moment that you can say, okay, this is where my inner shift started, or this was where I felt that something shift inside of me?
Shift in terms of like...
Just towards maybe shape who you are today.
I don't know if there was a shift. I think lots of gradual things along the way,
As
right?
I said, I see so many.
And I think you're right. I think there's incremental little steps along the way. For example, my mum separated, and that was such a big thing. And that meant that we grew up in a very free way. Free and not free. We're still a very traditional family, right? There was more eyes on my mum, so then we had to almost do better than everybody else's because everybody expected us to fail. But then you're also free to follow your path in life, right? And I think she took that step so I could be who I could be today, right? It started with her, and maybe even started with my grandmother before her. She was also a wonderful character, right? And then my Nanaji's mother, I mean, just again, she was also a single mum. So this has been a lineage of wonderful women in our family, and great stories along the way. So I think all those little steps got me to be who I am today, and got me to be exactly where I'm meant to be. And some of those things may have been painful along the way, but I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. I do believe that, and it's got me to where I was supposed to be. That's how I align myself with it.
Yeah, and I think even the painful parts shape us, no?
Absolutely.
I often see people who try to kind of cover up or pretend that something didn't happen. I'm like, that's part of your life.
Absolutely.
It's part of your life. It's part of what shaped you. So acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Even if it's painful, you need to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful to see you actually saying that as well, because you've had your share of of all of that, which brings me to my next question.
Indeed.
Which is that you have been observed, you've been judged,
yes,
you have been misunderstood, you've been praised. Often by people who don't know your full story, because people actually rarely are even bothered enough to know your full story, right? So how have you learned to stay centered through all that noise? You've seen it twice. You've seen it first with your mother, and then now with you yourself, right?
Yeah.
So in a way you have kind of lived part of her journey as well.
Yeah.
So how do you stay centered?
How do you stay centered? How do you stay centered? You know, luckily, I think I have deep roots that keep me strong and rooted. Like I just know that my family is my backbone. I've seen my mum go through things. I know how shallow and fickle society can be, and I know how unimportant actually it is at the end of the day. If you are sick, if you need help, anything ever happens in your life, who are they? Are they going to come and help you? No, it's going to be your loved ones, and it's going to be your immediate family. They matter, right, for me. So I think that was almost like just seeing that and observing what I went through in my childhood maybe gave me that knowing that, it's going to be fine. I think when I met my husband, when I met Kabir early on, I went into it with my eyes wide open, right? Obviously, he's much older, he's an actor. Our worlds were so different, Paayal, so different. I used to work for the government on social policy. Very serious job, right? Very serious job. And I loved what I did. It gave me a real strong sense of purpose. We were looking at policy, we were looking at change management, how policy was affecting people in real terms, right? What we had to do to change it and all the rest of it. And I loved it. You're impacting people in a very real way. And Kabir's world was very different. Media and just I just didn't know anybody in that was an actor. I think the first time I met him, I think I say, yes, but what do you actually do? Like, I know what my day is like. Like, I know I get into my office at 11, I'll finish about 7 or 8. But what do you do on a daily basis? Like, what is an actor's life like? I didn't know, right? Genuinely curious. I don't think that went down very well. But and I meant it in a genuine way. It's like, what does your everyday look like? What does your week look like? And you know, an actor's life is not an easy life either, right? It's not.
You know that now firsthand.
I do. And he was very open with it and told me all about it. It was a very different world, right? And then eventually, when we did sort of take that step, yeah, I did go in it with my eyes wide open. I knew there would be a lot of people talking about the age difference and all the rest of it, but you have to decide what's important and isn't. Was this something I expected to do in my life? No. Was there somebody very impressive and amazing that walked into my life? Yes, and I knew that the very first day I met him.
I've had a crush on him since I think, I don't know how long, so I can understand.
Good taste, right? Good taste.
Absolutely.
But I knew somebody very important had walked into my life when I met him, and I thought he was going to be a friend. And it turned out to be more, and that was scary. It wasn't an easy step to take, right? It wasn't. And it was probably one of the most selfish things that I did. If you ask me about what was that step, it was selfish because I knew that there would be finger pointing. I knew that everything that my mum had been through again is going to come back up again. And there's going to be, see, we told you so, look what she's done, and oh my goodness. I knew all that was going to come. But it was therefore selfish in the sense that I knew it was going to hurt my family. But there was just a deep knowing. It was almost as if there was this hand on my shoulder that was saying, go. You know when you sit very quietly, when you're not sure which way to go, and you just sit really still? And I couldn't ignore it. So there you go. That was one of those very intuitively, deeply knowing, and I knew it was going to hurt people that I loved. But what do you do? So either you have a life of regret, or you pursue it and see it where it went. And I think that's where I sort of had that conversation with my family. We're going to agree to disagree, and we're going to can we just be there for a while? And that's what we did.
And how is your family today?
Oh my God, they love him. You saw all the videos.
I saw all the videos.
They absolutely love him, but it takes time. It's not the most natural thing. It's not what you expect to happen in life. But then what do? Do you just walk away with it, toe the line, and marry the perfect kind of person that you're supposed to marry on paper? Or do you follow this? That's just come it's just like a blast out of nowhere. What do you do? What do you do? Right?
I think what you did was absolutely wonderful, because you see the glow. I mean, I see, even if I see pictures of you two together, you see that love. You see that camaraderie. You see that connection more than anything else.
Sure. He absolutely is. He's definitely my best friend. Most definitely is. He's got my back. We have been together now for 19 years. Imagine.
Oh, wow.
It's going to be 20 years next year.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. But I think we've been probably confusing the internet for so long. This summer, while I was away for my brother's 50th birthday, Kabir was here in India. We got married again, apparently, according to social media. So according to social media, they married us off again. Although we got married in 2016. So it seems like we've been confusing the internet since 2016.
Wonderful, lovely, and that's a good place to be in. But do you think women are allowed to reinvent themselves later on in life? Because, so let me put this in another way. Do you think you had it easier than Kabir in this relationship, media-wise and people finger-pointing-wise?
In terms of, I think media-wise, finger-pointing, it depends what you listen to, right? It depends what you listen to. I think when we were first together, we were in Rome, and we were in Rome for 2 years. I didn't understand Italian, right? And we were being written about in the magazines because he has this whole a whole big career in Italy that's been there since the 1970s on the success of Sandokan. So when we used to go out in the streets, the paparazzi would follow him, they'd take photographs, and they'd appear in the magazines, right? And I'd see I didn't know what was real. And this was before Google Translate was around, okay? So you couldn't just do that. I'm talking like 19 years ago. We didn't have those tools and technologies. So I would look through, and I didn't know what people were really saying. And I think when we came to India 2 years after that, then it was a bit more like, I don't think we hide our judgments in India that much, which is a lot more blunt. But yeah, I don't know. Did he have it easier or did I have it easier? I think he had it easier. He was a known character. Everybody loved him. It was like, oh wow, he has another wife. Do you know, I'm always ever called a new wife. That's apparently all I am. I'm a new wife. I don't have a name. My age is the only thing that seems to matter. I don't think anyone's ever asked me a question.
Wow.
Really?
Wow.
I really don't think so. I'm just like, a new wife.
A new wife.
Like, okay.
Well, okay.
If that floats your boat. If that's the clickbait you want, go for it. Okay.
Wow. Okay. I
then
mean,
I've
20
not-
years later also, yeah?
No one's asking questions, Paayal. Nobody wants to ask a question. I think we're still very much in that very, the world is very different, right? And in the sense it likes clickbait of a certain type of nature. Who really wants to get to find out something? We read headlines. We're going to tap on a little reel we like. Who wants to really read a long form format of something? Rare.
Very rare.
Right?
Very
Rare to really want to know the truth. Everything's salacious and it's easy. And, it's easy to write off somebody and say, well, older man, younger girl, NRI girlfriend or whatever, feeds into a certain narrative and it flies. But everyone has a great story to tell. If you want to look, if you ask questions, you might find something interesting.
So let's ask the right question. You and Kabirji share a relationship which is very, very mature. There's depth, there's individuality. I see both of you, pursuing your careers as well, though now, of course, there's some crossovers with what you do.
Yes.
But what does conscious companionship mean to you? I see that in you, but I want to know what it means to you.
Gosh, okay. Conscious companionship. What does it mean to you? I think just really knowing your partner and hearing your partner, right? Supporting one another. I think that matters. I know that my partner accepts all of me, warts and all, like all of me, right? The good, the bad, the ugly. I know that. And he knows the same with me, right? I think he said when we were first dating, he said he tried to just like make sure that his hair was growing out, that he would just look scruffier, just to see how I would react. And I said, and you thought that mattered, right? Of course it didn't, right? And it was those moments. It's the very fact that I could be at ease with him and he can be at ease with me. I think that conscious awareness of what your partner is and needs and wants and how they contribute to your life, we're with one another because we want to be with one another,
That
right?
is so important,
it's as simple as that. We're not bound by children or because financially we need to be together. We're together because we want to be. It's as simple as that, and it's as beautiful as that, right?
That's beautiful.
And we're building a life together, and we choose to build a life together. I think that's lovely, and I think sometimes people miss that. When I don't always see that around me, but we are together out of choice, and we're building a good life together, a joyful life together. And making those moments, along the way.
Yeah, I keep saying, okay, now we're jetting off here, now we're jetting off there, now we're jetting off there. Relationship goals, truly. How do you manage and balance being your own person, while being married to he's legendary. He's larger than life. So how do you balance that? He really is. I mean, a fangirl, but yeah, he really is. I mean, one boom of his voice and okay, that's it.
That's really funny. Yeah, he is, but at home, he's my husband.
Aww.
Right? At home, he's my husband. He's my partner in life. So yes, you step out the door, he's Kabir Bedi, and you step out the door and you become that producer, but he's my partner in every way. He makes my first cup of tea in the morning, right? Yes, he's legendary, but I see the man that he is, and he's a very grounded, decent man. And I think that whole idea that they say, oh, but he's been married so many times. He's been married so many times because he genuinely believes in love, doesn't get jaded, and is a responsible person. So he thinks that you should be married because it's the right thing for a man to do, that he should take care of the other person in their life, which is, an interesting thing. I was like, we don't need to do that. We didn't get married until after 10 years.
And who initiated him, obviously.
Obviously. Yeah, obviously. Patterns die hard, don't they? Patterns die hard. But it was lovely to be asked, and I think it was important to be asked. And yeah, it was lovely. We did it eventually anyway, after 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, we did.
So if we removed every label, the wife, the daughter, the sister, the public figure, who is Parveen at her core?
Oh, I think I'm just I'm a human connector, right? I will connect even if I'm a human connector. I'm just that person who who wants to connect, wants to know, is curious. I will always be those things. I'm a good daughter, I'm a good sister, I know all those things, I'm a good wife, I think I am. But I will always be that human connector. Somebody who, and a seeker, I think I'm a seeker too. I always want to learn. I think there's never enough time to learn all the things you want to learn, right? I think I'm a seeker along the way. I want to know more, I care, right? I care about, I want to know what you're thinking, right? It matters to me. I'm curious about life.
Please stay the way you are. You're
Yeah,
a very,
I like being curious
very
about
rare
life.
person. So very, very rare species. So please stay the way you are. Where do you feel most at home? Here in India now, or is UK still home? Is it back in the village in Punjab? Where do you feel more
Like home.
like yourself? Yeah.
Oh, like myself. I think different places bring out different parts of me. I think Bombay is a great city of opportunity. It brings out that, but it's intense, right? So then you sort of cocoon yourself after a while. I love village life in India. I enjoy it thoroughly. I love the old wisdom, right? But I know that's not going to be my home. But I love and I can relate to old India. I understand it. It's the land of my forefathers, my ancestors. I totally understand it. Like, I know that soil, right? It gives me strength, right? It's definitely a place of strength. When I went to Rome, it is the place that gives me, I feel most content in life. I feel most content just looking around me at the beautiful buildings and the light. It's stunning. And then home is always going to be where my mother is. And that's undefined, right? So she's going to be in Dubai, or she's going to be in London, or she is home.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That is beautiful. Wow. Okay. That's good. Taking me a minute to kind of recalibrate now. Okay. What keeps you emotionally anchored on a difficult day? What is a go-to practice? Any personal ritual? Could be spiritual, could be anything. Something that keeps you centered, or any daily practice that you follow.
Okay, I think a daily practice. So I have in my home, we have a lovely altar, and we have a diya. I don't know why, but I light that every day, right? I have to light that every day, even if it's just 30 seconds, just there, the flame, the light, the diya. I find it very energizing and calming, very, very calming. And if I've had a really stressful day, then a saltwater bath. I find that's just super cleansing, right? Super, super cleansing. And deep breaths along the way, my friend. Deep breaths along the way. It works magic.
Absolutely.
But these are the simple little things that you can do on an everyday basis. Lots of deep breaths if something's going to be... And if you are venturing into something that's not going to be very pleasant, just pause before you speak. All right? You don't have to keep on filling the space with words. Just pause. Pause. There's strength in that.
Words of wisdom. Words of wisdom. I think a lot of people don't know when to pause and when to stop.
Yeah.
Two of the biggest problems that a lot of people have, but words of wisdom from a very, very wise woman.
I don't know about that, but thank you.
Okay. What is a truth about life that you have arrived at the hard way?
Oh, truth about life, the hard way. Oh gosh. Truth about life. The hard way, I don't know. I just think of life as, you know what? Okay, life continues no matter what, right? We love people so dearly. And when you lose those loved ones, life continues. And you don't want it to, right? You want it to stop. You want the world to stop. You want everyone to know how much you're hurting. I lost my grandfather and I thought the world had ended, but no, it didn't. It just rolled on, and everybody else, the world just carries on, right? And I think that was the first person I lost that I truly loved. And it was just devastating that how it makes you question everything, doesn't it? And you just think, well, the world doesn't end. You carry on and you have to carry on, and it just, we're here for this much time, right? And there's nothing like a funeral or anything like that to put everything into perspective, right? And I think to get through those moments, a good routine helps, but it just puts everything into such a sharp moment of insight that this is it, right? And you better make the most of it. You really had. So Yeah, I think that just that knowing that it's a blip. It's a blip. So if you want to make an impact, do it. Otherwise, it's just gonna.
Yeah, you never know.
It's just so fast, right? Nothing's gonna. It just rolls on. It's like the wave after a wave after a wave. You come and you're gone, and then what? Right? Now that for me was just that reality of just mortality, I suppose. And we live in a way, all humans do, that we're going to live forever. But that's a bit of a.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's actually beautiful. It's I love having these conversations with people like you who are, and I said it in my intro, that you are so articulate in how you describe these things and so beautifully. So it's resonating so deeply with me, which is why it's moving me as well, and that's why I'm taking these pauses. But okay, just before we get into our last segment.
Yes.
What do you think the world misunderstands most about women like you? Women who are opinionated, who are strong, who are unapologetic in the way that they are, intelligent, dignified. What do you think the world misunderstands about them? They're often labeled.
They're always labeled. I think any woman who has an opinion or is not going to fit a mold or isn't what society expects is an easy target anyway, right? So I think that's a given. I think if you don't fit the mold or if you have an opinion and you push back on something, you're called difficult, right? It's just, well, I'd rather be that person. I can't be I can't be anybody else. I've tried to dim my light to fit in. That did not serve me. I tried to, right? I thought when I first came to Bombay and I was like, I don't know this space really well, and I found myself going quieter. Going quieter because I didn't really know where I was, didn't really understand the dynamics or the politics of a place. Didn't serve me at all. So I won't be doing that again anytime soon. I'm not going to dim my light. I am who I am. I know I'm loving, caring. I know who I am. I'm comfortable with that. So, if people want to ask me questions to get to know me, great. If they want to see me as a label, that's okay too. I'm busy living my life. I just can't be bothered to worry about that anymore. It's like, dude, you do your thing. I'm doing me, right? If it gets really nasty, then I'll think about it. But until then, just you do you. I'm busy living. And
has it ever got nasty?
Oh, in the sense that, press and things. Yeah, of course there has. Press stars. What else? They've got. Of course they do. I've never spoken. I don't think I've. Nobody's asked me questions. Like I said. I'm sort of like just an appendage to my husband, right? And no one's really asked me questions. So how would you know? If I've not filled in my canvas, that's also on me. I'm not blaming anybody, right? That's also on me. I was a blank canvas. I never filled in my story. I never painted my canvas. It was done for me by other people, right? People formed opinions on me. Somebody would say something else about me. Nobody asked me or cared to ask, and I just was very quiet through that process. And I'm not that type of, we're very brought up, very British, right? Very English. We don't go out there and start going, hey, rah, rah, rah. We don't. We're just a little bit more reserved. And I am a little bit more reserved in that sense, I think. If you ask me a question, I'm going to be very open. If you don't, I'm not going to come and tell you 101 thing. That's not me. I don't come beat my own drum. I don't really do that.
Yeah, I would say while people were busy labeling you, you were quietly doing all the wonderful work that you are. You're going now to speak at that conference as well. And I remember you went even a couple of months ago. I mean, you keep doing this for the UN, for others. So yeah, it's like people don't know that part of you. And I actually would love for you to speak about that part if you would like to.
Absolutely. I do. I'm a producer, so I actually do a lot of shooting for companies that come to India to shoot. So we facilitate, we help them. Now we've got these really new incentives in India for film rebates, right? So you can get back 30%, 40% back for foreign films. So we're facilitating that on the back of Waves, a big government initiative that happened. So that's great. And so we've literally built a new vertical because of this new incentive. I set this up with a really good British showrunner called Simon Mirren. He wrote Criminal Minds and Versailles, so he's my business partner on that one. And then I've got my company Creative Nation. We've just picked up a little while ago the rights. It was a smash hit Filipino movie. We've picked up the rights for India. So I've got this amazing screenplay writer. Again, she's very celebrated, very good. We've adapted it to India, so we're in talks with one of the streamers on that one. I've picked up this book, a really lovely Diwali story. So growing up, again, like what were the stories that formed us, right? What did we see? I think the first thing of color was Pocahontas, right? From Disney. That's all I ever saw. And then I remember when I'm in this position of producing and facilitating and creating stories, and I want to tell good stories, right? What do I want to see on the screen? And I've done enough of my work with studios to now independently set up my own stuff. So what can I put on the screen? I would like to tell a Diwali story, because Diwali in the UK was very different. None of my British friends knew what it meant. It's a festival of light. Oh, what is that? What is a diya? What is that? So it was almost like we had this double life, right? We had the life with our families, with our Indian families, our South Asian families, where we had these wonderful festivals. But the British friends never knew anything about them. Now, since then, Diwali is everywhere, people know more about it, but I've not seen anything on screen, right? So I've picked up this amazing book by an Indian American author, all about Diwali and the Festival of Light, and it's brilliant. So again, we've turned that into a screenplay and we've pitched it to one of the streamers. So that's on right now. So we've got 2 pitches in right now, 2 screenplays. Really interesting. Like I said, one's Diwali, and that Filipino smash hit film was about family dynamics. It's really cool. It's deeply emotional, very impactful. It will make you cry. It will entertain you. And I think that's what our business is about. I really do think cinema is the business of emotions, right? And I do have that emotional depth to be able to understand a story, pick it up and put it on the screen. So we've got a really beautiful family drama, and the essence of it is that, you know, family is means a lot. Your community means a lot. So again, staying true to who I am, I think. I pick those you gravitate naturally towards that.
Absolutely.
That's what's going to become your slate. That's what becomes your portfolio. I will do stories that are impactful, that are entertaining, and have hope, right? You're never going to see me doing a horror or a zombie movie. It's not going to come from me. But the other stuff, yeah, that for sure. That's my jam. So that's what I gravitate towards.
Oh, amazing. So what is the legacy that you want to leave behind as a woman, as Parveen? What is the legacy you want to leave behind?
Oh, they're big words. I don't know. Really? Do you start planning legacies, or do they just happen? I don't know. Do you plan the legacy? I don't think I think like that either. Isn't that something that... I don't know. I don't think I've thought that far as a legacy that I want to leave behind. I just know that I have to do what I'm doing. And if I ever feel that I'm not on the right path, I just tune back in again, see where it sits with me. Ultimately, I have to live with my decisions, right? They come back to you. So the noise can carry on around you. People can say what they want. So, for example, like people are more fascinated with my relationship and my marriage, but yet I have this growing company and I've got some great screenplay writers and we're putting things on air, and yet it depends how you want to see.
She's Kabir Bedi's new wife.
New wife, thank you.
New wife.
That's it. And that's okay too. I love being Mrs. Bedi. I have no problem with being Mrs. Bedi. I love being that person.
He has a nickname for you, right?
He does.
You want to tell us what it is?
Which one? There's a few.
The one you just told me about, the iron fist and the velvet glove.
He does. He says, darling, you're definitely the... because I love how you handle negotiations, because you're the iron fist in a velvet glove. I said, yeah, isn't it better to be that way than just being iron fist in a velvet glove?
I think that's the Britisher in you.
Yeah.
The iron fist is the Punjabi farmer, and the velvet glove.
What's the legacy? No, so what would be the legacy? Okay, so we've got this legacy now. We've got this issue with land in Punjab, right? If I'd like to leave something behind, it's just that, again, it's very patriarchal. It was just a matter of, it's nothing to do with me, it was to do with my mum, and again, her mother, land in the family that she wanted my mum to have. And there's just been an ongoing case of the men in the family saying, nope, you do not have that right. Aapka haq nahi banta. I mean, all of this stuff, right? And it was so hard to see. And I saw my grandmother go through it. And it's not like it's the ancestral land. This was land that she had of her own because she was the only daughter and what have you, right? And she wanted to make sure her daughter had a share. She wasn't giving all of it. But no, how dare you? And you're like, hold on, these are people like us. What is this? What is this thinking? What is this mentality? Unfortunately, it got very, very nasty. Long story short, there's been an ongoing court case. And that's now 2000, it's now 25 years in.
Wow.
And we won in the lower court. It's now in the next court. But that's something that I think I'm not going to let go of. I'm going to continue and make sure, and I say I, because I don't want my mum going through the court system. I don't think it's fair. I think it's an ugly system. I think it's just nasty what happens to people through there. They wear you down, they wear you down. And I don't want her going through that. You know, I do. I don't go there as Mrs. Bedi. I just turn up. I go with my lawyer. I do what has to be done. But I'm not going to back down. And we've been threatened. We've been intimidated. We've been told that bad things will happen, and they've tried. But I'm not going to back down. Then who am I if I do that? Then I'm not my grandfather's daughter, am I? Grandfather's granddaughter, am I? Am I a sparrow heart or a lion heart? I'm definitely the lion heart. So that's something I want to make sure I'm going to leave behind. If I don't do it, Paayal, who will? Then what are we saying to people? I have privilege, right? I may be a woman, sure, but I have privilege. I'm educated. If I cannot fight for what my grandmother wanted, then who will? Who will, right? If I can't do that, and it's just, those things are sad. They're really saddening and maddening, actually, right? Because we are in that privileged position. I remember when I went to Punjab, a court case was on, and there was the family car was a safari, and I would drive everything, right? So I would drive everywhere in this big safari and stuff. And I remember driving through, I think it was Noormehal, and there was a truck driver just so busy looking at what I was driving, that he hit a bicycle. And this was, I'm talking before Kabir, okay? So I'm talking like 25 years ago.
Wow.
So then, just, what is she doing? She's driving a big car. Cut to 5 years later, you go back to the village, or 10 years, you go back to the village. All the girls are driving little cars, Marutis or Suzukis. And why? Didi used to drive a car. Didi drove a car. So we want to learn. Sometimes you can just be this agent for change and you don't even know it, right?
Wow.
So you just have to do the doing. And what happens afterwards, the legacy you leave behind, nobody knows. But you have to do the doing and stick with what you think is right. So yeah, I think the Punjab thing may have an impact somewhere, maybe be something. But I have to do it, so.
I love it. Do the doing.
Yeah.
Everything follows, just do the doing.
Yeah, don't get caught up with legacy and things. I think that's just complicates stuff, right?
Okay, last question.
Okay.
We've been talking for a while.
I know.
But it was so interesting. I didn't want to stop. Mental health awareness.
Yes.
And a message for women like you. What would you want to say to the women first who are labeled as difficult, or women in general, who may be in a similar situation like you, or would want to, fight for their land the way you have? What is your message to women out there, and your message for mental health awareness in and around in India, because that is still a topic which is very,
huge.
Very less discussed.
Yeah, I agree. I would say lead. I know it almost sounds odd to say it, but I would always say lead with kindness. I think you can be strong through kindness, through love, through vulnerability. I know it sounds like odd to say, but you're a difficult woman. How can you say all of these things? Well, you say I'm difficult. I'm not, right? But I genuinely believe when you lead with kindness but firmness, love and understanding of what's happening all around you. It's not your way or the highway. The world does not work that way. It just doesn't. Go work with people, right? Find solutions. Just move forward. Don't get stuck. Don't stagnate. Don't get regretful. Don't do all of that. It's just a trap. You've just got to literally find your tribe of people and your community and move forward. So yes, you may be described as difficult, or yes, you may be breaking a mold or not the stereotype of what society expects you to be, and that's okay. What are we looking for? A pat on the back? We don't need that. I think that inner strength, having hope always, right? It matters. And having that inner strength to know that it's all going to be fine. I have a deep belief that all is well and all is going to be fine. I just have a knowing of that. That gives me strength. For other people, I would just say don't be aggressive, right? There's no need. If you were to ever operate in life, velvet glove, iron fist and a velvet glove.
Absolutely.
It's worked well for me. It's worked well for me. Where you need to be strong, you be strong. It was one of those things that somebody said, like, whatever situation you're dealing with, you have to adapt to that, right? It can't just be, well, this is the way. If the situation merits you behave in a certain way, that's what you have to do. Don't run away from that either. If you have to be strong, you have to be strong.
Like you are being.
You have to. But do you think I wanted to go and do court cases? Of course not. But I was called upon to do it, so I took up that mantle. It brings out a different side of me, but so be it. right? It is my duty to follow that through, so I will do it. And in my head, if it takes up 15 days of the year or 20 days of the year, so be it. I've committed to that, it's done. I'm not going to cry over it. There's so many other things to do, right? So that's how you just handle things. It's not all going to be roses, and that's fine too. I don't know if I answered your question though.
No,
I don't know if I
did.
did.
You did. You did. You answered it beautifully, and you have been actually throughout.
Okay.
And the last but not the least.
Yeah.
Mental health awareness.
Yes.
Is there something that is personal to you? Something that, I mean, obviously, when your mother went through what she did, when you went through what you did, mental health does get affected. How much depends, but it does trouble you.
Yeah.
So, and it is still a subject which is very, very taboo in India. Not everybody is happy to talk about it, not even acknowledge it.
Mental health, don't acknowledge mental health.
Yes. So what would your message be? I mean, I always say to anybody, if you're going through something, reach out to someone, anyone, just talk about it,
Yeah.
So I know that you, in your position, have a voice. So have you done anything, or would you like to do something towards mental health awareness?
Oh gosh, would I ever like to do something about mental health awareness? Of course. I'm back in my earlier avatar when I used to do social policy for the government. We used to do so much work around this, right? So much around it. And then we used to see the coping mechanisms that people used to use to mask mental health, right? So it went down a slippery slope. And I can see even now around me, because of everything that I did back in the day, I can see where it comes up. I think, mental health affects everybody in society. We're privileged, we have access to utilities and we can reach out to people, but even then people don't, right? People like us don't. I think in the old wisdom that I saw in the villages, I think there you'd have your pandit, or you have your granthi, or you'd live in a joint family. I'm not saying there weren't issues then, of course there were, but you had someone to turn to. You'd have an elder in the family, right, that you went to. I liked seeing that in action. I still see that in action in little ways, right? They come like 5 o'clock when they're going to milk the cows, everyone's out in the street, they're talking to one another. That sense of community goes, where do you find it, right? And then you get the loneliness patterns. It's just, mental health covers so much, and it's like, which bit of it do you touch on? I don't know. It's just a very, very huge subject. But I do know that we have in the past had your pandits or your granthis or your community that used to help you. Modern day city living is very different. So where do you go? You need accessibility. You need it to be affordable. You need it to be cheap. And if you can't reach out to a professional, right, or you can't reach out to a hotline, there should be a friend that you should be able to call. And if you can't do that, go onto YouTube and just listen to a gratitude video, something that gets you out of your own head, right? The chatter in your own head sometimes can be very negative. So if you find that, I think there's one trick I would say. If you ever find yourself with negative chatter in your head, just say to yourself, okay, think of somebody you truly love, who truly loves you. Somebody who truly loves you, not who you love. Somebody who truly loves you. And say, would that person be talking to me like that voice in my head? Would that person be talking to me like, no, they wouldn't. They wouldn't, right? What would that voice say to me? And I think that's a great way to get out of your head, right? Great way to get out of your head.
Beautiful, beautiful. That's a very nice tip that you've given. And so next time, if you're dealing with something, with this negative chatter, as she said, think of someone who truly loves you and think of what they would say to you. And that should help you in getting out at the moment. But even after that, please reach out. Maybe reach out to them. Reach out to the person who really loves you, or reach out to someone else, but do reach out. Thank you, Parveen. The talk today has been so beautiful. Thank you for your honesty.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
I don't know how to be anything else. I don't know how to be anything else. Do you know my other name my family has for me is Truth Vader?
Oh, yeah. I like that. I'm going to change her name on my phone now.
Truth Vader. It's like, if you ask me something, I'm going to tell you. So, be careful what you are.
No, I think we asked some very good questions, and she gave us even better answers. In fact, she gave us such pearls of wisdom that I am going to use myself.
Aww.
So thank you once again for being part of the Inner Shift. And for all of you, please listen to Parveen, follow her company,
Creative Nation.
Wait for these 2 blockbuster screenplays that are going to come out.
Absolutely.
And I will see you the next time on the Inner Shift.